Hello, for my second game, I decided to play the game Raft. It's developed by Red Bee Interactive and published by Axolot Games. In this game, you are stranded on a small raft in the middle of the ocean with only a hook and rope. The water around you is guarded by a shark, and you have to retrieve materials using your hook. The goal of the game is to basically survive as long as possible and use the materials you gain to expand your raft along the way. I've only personally seen YouTubers play this game and have never attempted to play myself. The game didn't offer any tutorial or direction at the start, so I had to familiarize myself and use the knowledge I already had from the videos I've watched to guide myself with controls and what I can craft and what each item does. However, something to note about this game is how expansive the story is. Further along in the game, you can get a GPS and satellites and a boat engine to navigate your raft around the ocean, and it's easier to find islands, and each island kind of holds a different piece of the story. However, the story in the beginning is very vague. You're given nothing to go off of. I was hoping for more of a clue on how the player ended up stranded, and from what I've seen online, those questions do get answered later on. So I can kind of understand this lack of information putting you into the perspective of the player, just not knowing where you are, how you got there, what's going on. So you're finding out everything as the player finds out, which I do believe is pretty unique. This game is also an inspiration for my own personal game projects. I tend to gravitate towards survival games when I play games in general, and I've always wanted to create my own take on a survival game. This one in particular features base building, and it allows the player to be creative in their own design of their raft. For instance, you can build a raft that is many story tall, which I find really unique as well. In terms of design elements, the strongest is the base building mechanic again, and the self-sustainability you can make on your raft alone. So later on in the game, you can plant trees on your raft, you can plant all sorts of crops, you can cook meals, you can breed animals. It's very expansive in that way as well. However, I do think it lacks design within the ocean itself. That's what the whole game is based around, and whenever I dove into the water, there wasn't much to see other than the shark, maybe some dolphins, and the rest was black. So I think there can be a lot more done graphically to make the ocean feel more vast with the style this game has already. And I also think the shark is the only threat. It's one singular shark, and it becomes a nuisance when collecting resources on an island and when it just decides to attack the raft. But after the initial scare factor, it's pretty easy to deal with. I think the game would be a lot more interesting if it featured storms that you have to navigate through, or other deep sea creatures, and maybe whirlpools that you have to avoid. Just something to keep the player's interest as they're in the open sea just gathering materials, because the shark only attacks every 5 minutes or so. So that's all I have for my second vlog. Thank you.